07761. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Everything is fine. Everything is great. Am I speaking to Jannele Wall?
Yes, you are.
How you doing today, Jannele? How's everything?
It's going great. How about you?
Everything is good. God is good, all the time. God is good.
Yes. I love your accent. That's great.
That's a northern accent.
Yes, it is. I love it.
Yeah, I love your accent, too.
Thank you.
How's your day going so far?
It's going pretty good. Same thing every day. Can't complain. I woke up. That's a good thing,
Absolutely. The first thing is to wake up.
Yes, exactly. I'm breathing. That's all I could say. So that's the best thing.
So I want to thank you for calling my show today, Bobby with Don Vito.
No problem.
And the basis of this interview is to let you tell your side of the story and what happened with your case.
Okay.
Because the tabloids and the newspapers and the Google and all these people, they always got their own version, and
exactly.
They paint the picture, of everything that's negative about you, but before the negative thing happened, there was other positive things that happened in your life, and we like to get that information and that story out.
Exactly.
Yes. So, Jannele, how was life growing? Where are you from anyway?
I was originally born in Mount Olive, North Carolina, and then I moved to Goldsboro, North Carolina.
Okay, so how was life growing up in North Carolina as a little girl?
It was great. Mount Olive was a very small town. Basically, everybody knew everybody. So my family is a very decent family. Everybody knew everybody. My dad worked at Mount Olive Pickle Company, which I don't know if anybody knows about Mount Olive Pickles. It's kind of like kosher pickles. It's a big factory. I guess the pickles are all over, the United States. So my family is very close-knit, and the community knew my family very well. So it was pretty good growing up. They had high expectations of me growing up. I was very, very good in school, AG classes. So everything was great growing up. I don't know where it turned out, actually. I guess when I was 16, 17 years old, when you hit the teenage years, things kind of go out of whack some, and it just went downhill from there, I guess. Started smoking weed, things like that, and got mixed in with the wrong crowd. And, just things just happen in life, and what can you say, And but my family did stick by my side, and they're still with me now, so I can't complain about that. So, yeah.
So what did you do as a young girl, as far as like school and stuff? Did you do well in school? Did you play any sports?
Oh yeah, definitely. I didn't play any sports, but yes, I was in AG classes. After I got out of school, I actually graduated early. I started in college classes. I was in mechanical engineering. I was the first woman at Franklin Bakery to do internship for mechanical engineering. I was very smart in school. My dad was very proud of me for that. After he, left the pickle plant, he started his own business. I was very interested in engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. That's really where I wanted to go into. But then I ended up pregnant and had to end my internship. And that's kind of like what brought me down. It's like everything just kind of hit me at once, all my dreams and everything kind of got shattered at that point in time. And, things just, I guess, got real depressing for me. I already had been, had one child. I had a son at that time. And my ex-husband decided to take off with him. And it was just one thing after another kind of just led into a depression, and things just like I said, went downhill. And I ended up with the wrong people, the wrong crowd, you know what I'm saying? And it just went south. But
so
growing up,
no, go ahead.
Go ahead, sweetie. Just I ended up with the wrong crowd, and once you get around the wrong people, you start doing things you didn't really intend on doing, and you hang around the wrong crowd, and then the people get the wrong opinions of you and things such as, and people just look down on you for the people that you hang around, not necessarily meaning that you're that type of person, but people will have opinions of you just for who you're around, even though they don't know who you really are. So that's just how this world operates now. They look at you because of who you hang around and not necessarily who you are. They don't have the opportunity to get to know who you are on the inside before they just start making judgments. That's how people are nowadays, and that's wrong. And that happens a lot nowadays.
Yeah, it's called guilty by association.
That's pretty much the case. Yeah.
So how did you meet the wrong crowd? What led you into meeting the wrong crowd?
Like I said, it was pretty much depression. I had lost my son, and my ex-husband took him from me. I had ended up losing my internship because I found out I was pregnant again with my daughter, and my dreams just kind of got shattered, and I got back to smoking weed, and my weed dealer was like, well, it's okay, try this, try pills, try a little bit of powder, and things just started going to the bad. Just a bad situation. And then that's when the wrong type of people started coming around. My association with people went from a high standard to a low standard. I started hanging out with people, drinking, partying. Things just went south, and it just started like a snowball. It just started like getting bigger and bigger, and things just started happening, and people started coming into my life, and it wasn't the good type of people, it was the bad type of people. And, at that point in time, I was not a very bad-looking female at the time. And, the men that started coming into my life were dope dealers and, things like that. And it just started getting out of hand. And I was the type of female I could kind of ease in and get what I wanted. And, it just things started happening. Let's put it that way.
Okay. And at what age was that?
I was in my late 20s.
Okay. So,
yeah.
how did your family feel about, where you were living at that time?
They were not real happy about it. My dad had kind of disconnected with me. My mom has always been my strong point. Like, she always stayed with me by my side through the whole time, even though she wasn't happy about the situation. My mom was pretty much my ride or die. Even though she would fuss me out one side and down the other, she would kind of turn the other cheek. Jannele, don't do this, don't do that. I'm disappointed in you type thing. But it was pretty much tough love, but she never left my side. And even though my dad disconnected from me and stopped talking to me for a while, all of his sisters, my aunts, I have 4 aunts. It was a tough love situation. They would quit talking to me for a while, but when I needed them the most, they always came through. So they've never completely cut me off, but there was times that, it hurt. They did, turned their backs on me a few times, but it was basically, like I said, tough love to try to get me to realize what I was doing wrong. So, and it worked a few times, but then when you get so far out there, there's no turning back. You don't see what's in front of you. You know what I'm saying? When you get so far out there, you see what you want to see. You don't see really what's reality. You just see what you want to see.
So at that time that these things started going on, were you still living at home or did you move out?
I moved out. I did have an apartment, and I didn't really want these things going. The things that I was doing, I didn't really want to involve my home in these things. So I ended up pretty much the times that I was doing what I was doing, I was like going to go get a room. I didn't want to involve my home life with the things that I was doing. So I never brought business back to my home, if you understand what I'm saying. So I would have a room, or, when the girls and stuff that I had that I was associating with, they would go get a room, that's where we would set up shop or whatnot ever. So, yeah, I didn't ever bring anything back home.
What do you mean by set up shop?
If we were going, if I had a couple of girls that would, go out and work the streets or whatever, and my basic thing was I was able to, my looks, my intelligence, I was able to get the men to come my way. I was able to see my thing. The guys that I knew, or the men that I knew, they love to get high. They love to this. They always spend a lot of money. They were higher clientele. They would they would want a room, to get away from their family or their wife. They would come to me and they would spend a couple $1,000 that night. And, they would leave me their keys. They would give me their ATM card. They would trust me to have them set up in a room or something, and I would constantly feed them that night. So I would be going back and forth, the middle person to the dope man, and during that time I was, making hundreds and hundreds of dollars going back and forth in between. And at the same time, I was never having to do anything other than just be the middle person. So I was never having, to play tricks or anything like all the other women had to do. I was more of a higher standard type person. So all the dope boys around town always knew me. Well, damn, there goes Jannele. So we know she's about to come with the money, or you know what I'm saying. They knew I came when they saw me come around. They knew I wasn't about no play. They knew I came with the money. They knew when I came into town, I was coming with a couple of dudes. They was going to spend money. They knew to camp out to be around where I was going to be. They knew I was going to come with a couple of girls to service the guys I had around. And I was just going to sit back and bring in money. That was more or less my thing. And that's where I got my extra money from. That's how I ended up meeting a lot of the dope boys around town. And then I got involved in illegal sales of firearms, and being basically, as they would say, a trick, but I would trick you. Like, you would come, I would set up shop, and I would find out where you were at or where your home was at, and then I would end up getting into your home. And either way, when they would come over and to my place, like at the room or whatnot ever, like they would give me their keys, their card, their ATM cards or whatever. So like a normal trick on the streets or whatever would prostitute with somebody. But as the dope boys used to say, Jannele the straight trick, like they would come in my room and they would give me their card and stuff, and instead of me going to the ATM, I would go to their spot, to their house. And I always rode solo. So I would go into their home. I would go, take the PlayStations or the gaming gear or the flat screen TVs, and I would get their firearms, this, that, and the third. And I would go to the highest bid, like to the dope boys, or go to the trap spot. And they knew when I rolled up, it was going to go to the highest bidder, you know, and then they knew I didn't play around. And by the time the dudes that I had at the room, by the time they got done smoking, by the time they got done spitting out a couple of grand here, a couple of grand there, when they went home, they didn't know what hit them. You know what I'm saying? So by the time that's where my trick came in. That's how I got a hold of your ass. Excuse my French, but that's what I did. I didn't trick off. I didn't prostitute. That's how I became known in my town. That's what I did, and that's how all the dope boys in my area knew of me, and that's how my whole situation became about, because all the dope boys was like, dang, you know, we could get a hold of her, like she could make us some money type deal, and that's how my story became about, because all the dope boys was like, well, we could use her on our team, you know what I'm saying? We could, and instead of like a prostitute or something like this, they knew I was on my own. I could roll with money. Like, I didn't like the $20 here or a $5 hit or a crumb hit. I wasn't about that. I was about money. And the dope boys loved it. You know, when I came around, I caught my boot. I had AK-47s. I had flat screen TVs, all kinds of, you know, gaming gear, you know, all the games, all kinds of stuff, you know. And they was just like, oh, my God, here comes Jannele. It was just, it's not funny, but it was, you know, it was just like a dream to them. Like, they played straight cash. They was like, you know, no, she don't deal with dope. She don't deal with this. You know, we sell dope to her people. She comes and we pay her cash for what she's got. You know, they knew it was no games. It was just straight what they wanted. You know, they would place their orders. Hey, are you gonna be able to do? You know, it was just, they see people on Facebook posting up parties and stuff. You know, we know some of them people is your people. Is you gonna be doing da 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 da? And that's just how it came about. And when my story hit in Dudley that night, that's how the man set me up. And he played me good. He got me good that night. And I can say honestly, he really got me. Like, he sat back, and I think it was more or less the east side of Goldsboro versus the west side of Goldsboro between the two dudes, and they got me. And
who you referring to?
All the dope boys pretty much knew my situation and how I operated. I had, you know, over the years of doing what I did, had met a lot of good people, some good, some bad. Fortunately, I had met this really good guy named Carlos. He was Hispanic. Of course, he was a part of the cartel. He lived in Dudley, North Carolina, which is between Mount Olive and Goldsboro. Of course, I was born in Mount Olive, and I lived in Goldsboro, so he was halfway in between. He knew my family. I took my son over there on occasions. You know, he did for my family. I lived over there quite often. I had a key to the house. In the bedroom, he had my name painted on the wall. He loved me to death. I loved him to death. He was a major part of my life. He was also a dealer. I was taking a lot of my business to him as far as the people that enjoyed or indulged, as I should say, in drug activity. I took a lot of my illegal business to him. So a lot of my dope boys in Goldsboro had an issue with that. So it was right after Christmas. It was in January 2016. And Montreal Allen had called my phone, and Carlos had been posting on Facebook, you know, through a phone. Actually, the phone he was posting on was one of the phones that I had in my name, and through Sprint. I had actually got Carlos, you know, set up with his phone, had his Facebook set up and everything, so all of his stuff was set up through my name. And he was posting on Facebook a whole bunch of his friends that he had from Faison, Calypso, a bunch of Hispanic men that was at his house. They were partying, having a good time. You know, it was already after New Year's. And they were just indulging in what they were doing and spending the bukus of money. And Montreal saw this on Facebook, so he called me up and he asked me if I would do the hit for him. Needless to say, I had owed him way back in the day. And in Goldsboro, you can't just walk away from a debt. You know what I'm saying? Well, I can't. Anybody else probably could, but I can't walk away and know that my face is on something. So me being the person I am, I was like, as long as Carlos is not involved in this situation, you know, I don't mind y'all hitting the people in the house, but Carlos is not going to be involved. And Montreal was like, well, if I send a couple of guys over there, you know, you could be in the back with your dude, and, you know, my dudes will just go in there and they'll just hit the ones that's in the house, and they'll just take whatever and, you know, rob them, whatever, and we'll just go on about our business and we'll split the money, whatever. And it was a set up deal. I was like, okay. So he had his driver come over. Billy Ham was there. The driver, I don't know personally, but I did know Billy Ham. I did know Jerry Parks, so we picked Jerry Parks up after Billy Ham and the driver came over. They came to my hotel room. This little white guy named Tracy Burris came just on his own. So basically what had happened was Tracy Burris came to my room before Billy Ham and the driver came over, and he was sitting there. And I guess Montreal had sent him over there, you know, gave him a little bit of dope, whatever. He was just sitting there talking with me, trying to keep me calm, you know, trying to just talk about the best way to do things. And, you know, I was getting ready to go, doing my hair and my makeup, you know, just looking right. And Tracy was actually recording me on the phone with Montreal. And Montreal, I guess, was using a burner phone, and I didn't know this at the time, but he was using a burner phone. And, of course, I didn't know Tracy was recording my conversation while he was sitting in the room with me. Didn't know that till later on. So I'm sitting there talking to Montreal on the phone. You know, he's coaching me through this. I'm like, well, yeah, you know, I've made hits like this before. I've been in the neighborhood. I've hit, you know, houses with Hispanic men before, da-da-da-da-da. You know, talked about how much money I've made. But like I said, I've always rode solo. I've never had anybody come with me before. So this was something new for me. And I was kind of nervous about it. So, again, long story short, they came, they picked me up. We rode back to Montreal's house. Montreal, he was like, well, I'm not going to ride with y'all. I'm going to stay here at the track house. Y'all go pick up Jerry, da-da-da. We went and picked up Jerry. We stopped by, picked up a gun. I wasn't aware that Billy Ham already had one. We take off, we go to Dudley. They drop me off at the house. They take off down the road. So the setup was going to be, I was going to go into the house. I was going to take Carlos to the back. The radio was bumping. You know, I had the key to get into the house. So I already walked into the house. The door was going to be unlocked. I was going to be in the back with Carlos. The dudes were going to come in after I got into the back and text them on the phone to let them know, you know, to come on in, do what they're going to do, go ahead and rob the dudes and go on, you know, get out the house and whatever before Carlos came out. I texted them, didn't hear a response. I got nervous, and I was like, what's going on? You know, Carlos was like, are you okay, baby? Da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. You know, about 30 minutes passed by, I didn't hear nothing. I'm like, well, what the hell is going on? So I squashed it. We went out into the living room, and I'm like calling other people trying to get me a ride. And Carlos was like, I'll take you to the store, or I could take you back to the room. I was like, no, it's okay. So I called an ex-boyfriend of mine and asked him to come pick me up at a store down the road. I was like, just come get me. I don't know what's going on. He knew what was going on and was like, are you okay? I was like, no, something's not right. Just come get me. And he was like, okay. So he's on the phone with me. I'm walking out the house. Carlos is behind me. As soon as I open the door, I feel it. I knew something just wasn't right. Open the door. I see eyes to my left, the eyes to my right. Billy Ham is on one side, Jerry Parks is on the other. I feel a hand go around my ribs. They pulled me out the door, literally yanked me out the door. I go tumbling down the steps. I told Carlos to run. He runs inside the house. He's trying to shut the door, but one of them, I don't know if it's Jerry or Billy, at the time they had a hold of the door. They run into the house, and they just shoot Carlos. I mean, endless amounts of times. They unloaded 2 9s on Carlos. He was dead upon arrival. They never robbed anybody. They never took anything. The man that was standing beside Carlos got hit in the leg. Of course, I got charged with that too. And they took off and ran. They never robbed anybody, nothing. They left me there at the scene of the crime. And I'm left there in the yard screaming and crying. Crawled back into the house and I saw Carlos. And I knew instantly that it was a setup, that they were just trying to take him out of the game. I never could understand it. I never knew why Montreal was so devious to do what he did, why it was just so important to him to get him out of the game. Like it was just something that never entered my mind, like how someone could be so, I can't understand, because Carlos was really, really important to me, and I love Carlos so much, and so did my family. So it was really disheartening to me when that happened, and it hurt really bad. It really hurt. And then the police came. I was scared. I didn't know what to say, what not to say. Montreal was texting my phone, threatening me. It was just a bad situation, and the cops took me down to the sheriff's annex for hours and hours, and I didn't quite know what to say, what not to say. They knew I was lying. They took my phone, but they did release me that night. They let me go back to my hotel, and 2 days later, they called me back up to ask me to look at some pictures and see if I could identify. And at that time, they had the recording of me on the phone. And they told me that Tracy Burris had come in from my room, the one that was in my room, and he had the recording of me on the phone talking to Montreal Allen. And that they knew that I had set up the whole thing. And one of the men had come forward, and I guess that was Montreal. As far as my knowledge of it is that he got 5 to 7 years. And he said, and I've got 27 to 33 and a half years.
How much time he got?
27 to 33 and a half years. He got 5 to 7.
Wow.
I think one of the shooters got 12 years and the other shooter got 18. I was actually in jail, in county jail, for about a year. I got locked up in January, I think it was 13th of 2016. And I stayed in jail. I got my first plea. It was 24 years. I had a court-appointed attorney named Walter Webster in Goldsboro. He lied to me through the whole time. He kept trying to tell me that Wayne County was corrupted, that he was one of the best attorneys, that he would help me through all of it, that he was going to fight for a plea. Come to find out the day of my pretrial, he said that he could beat this, that they, was using evidence against me, like this man that had recorded my phone conversation. And even though I was talking to the man that actually planned this and planned the robbery and planned everything, that it was, that they couldn't use this in court because, it would be illegal to use my conversation without me having any knowledge of being recorded at the time. And this man was using a burner phone, and they took my phone without my, consent and did all this and that. Come to find out that day, the judge even asked, he said, why is this lady not been offered another plea? Why are y'all going to put her on trial for, a life sentence and y'all haven't offered her another plea? And the DA bluntly says that her attorney has not asked for another plea So through this whole time, this whole year, I'm in, county jail. Come to find out, my attorney has not even fought for a plea for me. The judge had to ask for another plea. So I'm facing life in prison and this attorney's playing with my life. And come to find out, he's pretty much working for the sheriff's department. And I knew at that moment, I felt God telling me at that moment just to go ahead. The judge said, well, I think you need to offer this young lady another plea before you even take her up to pretrial. He said, this is completely unfair for you to actually put her on trial for life, and you haven't even offered her a second plea. And they offered me 27 to 33 and a half years. Like I said, the first plea was 24 years flat. And the reason why the other ones got 12 years and 18 years, they signed a plea to testify against me in court that I was the one that collaborated the whole situation. And they signed that like a day.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Can you call back?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. You got to get into this. Call me back.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
All right. Murder, assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, armed robbery with a dangerous weapon, first-degree burglary. That all is crazy in my mind. First-degree burglary, I'm in the house for one, and I have my own key. How you could charge somebody with first-degree burglary when they're in their own home. I pretty much lived there. I did have some bills there. My clothes were there. I had my own key to the house. They charged me with armed robbery with a dangerous weapon. I asked them to do, the gun testings and things on my hand. They refused to do that for me. I asked them to do a lie detector test on me. They refused to do that for me as well. I never had a weapon in my hand, which they know that. I mean, I was left there at the scene of the crime. So, and, they actually went around the whole area. They know there was nobody there. There was witnesses stating that they saw the men leaving the home. So they know that they were the ones that shot, plus the man that was hit in the leg also testified or told them or wrote statements that the men were the ones that came in and shot Carlos. So they know it was not I. So for them to charge me with that instead of just conspiracy for the robbery, for one, was pretty much far-fetched and ridiculous. And then, charging me with the murder because they said I was the one that set it up. So basically, the men had time to get together. For one, I was the only one out of five. It was Montreal, Billingham, Jerry Park, the owner of the vehicle and the driver, so it was like, I don't understand. Well, I do understand coming from my county. They said if I had been a black female, for one, I wouldn't have gotten as much time. Wayne County looked at me because I had never been prosecuted or caught in any of the situations that I had ever been in. So they had wanted to nail me for something, anything possibly at all, because they had never been able to pin anything on me through my whole years, all the pinning charges and everything that I had. Basically, the only thing they could ever get me with was like forgery or things like that, but that was basically for speeding tickets or tickets because I didn't have a driver's license. So they were never able to get me with drug charges or anything major, and I've always been able to slip through the cracks, and it all just went crazy, and they thought that they could pin me for whatever they could, and it was just their time to shine. I thought that's how they figured it could all go down, and Larry and all the other detectives and stuff at Wayne County, they really tried to get me. They were like, we'll try to help you. We'll do the best that we can, and and they really lied to me about, well, you'll have to do a little bit of time and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you know how the police are. Well, I don't know if you know or anyone else knows. They will lie to you and do everything they do to try to get you to help them in any shape, form, or fashion. And Wayne County is a very crooked county. They really, really are. They're against any white female whatsoever that has anything to do with any type of, black males, females, Mexicans, anything that you're not white on white in Wayne County, they have a problem with it. And you get the most time out of anything. And I know Billingham had just got out of doing time. From my understanding, Jerry Parks was actually in county jail at the time that they served him papers. Billingham was actually extradited back from Maryland, and he took off and ran to Maryland. And, they got 12 years and 18 years. So that should tell you, you know what I'm saying? You've already served time for armed robbery with a dangerous weapon, and you got less time than I did. And I've never done any prison time my whole life, much less any time for a felon, and you're getting less time than me. So that should tell you right there, and it's crazy. It's crazy. This is my first time ever in prison.
How much time did they give the shooter? Who was the shooter?
Both of the shooters. It was Jerry Parks and Billingham. Both of the men actually walked in and unloaded 2 knives on one person.
Mm.
Yes. It was an overkill. Yes.
And Montreal got 5 years.
Yes, 5 to 7. And he was the one that actually conspired the whole thing. He put it together. He was the actual owner of the vehicle. He was the one that put all the guys together. He was the one that called me, sent them over there to pick me up. He was the one that texted my phone, threatened me. He was the one that had the little bug put in my room to have them record our phone conversations. So the only thing you could hear was me on the other end talking about, I've done this before, and I've hit houses like this before, and we made a couple grand off one time. Yeah, he had it all set up. And basically, like I said before, I think the only reason he did it is out of spite, because I had quit taking my business to his side. And his rival was another man named BG. And if I was to take anything to anybody in Goldsboro, it was to BG. And it was right across the road from his trap house. So the last time I had bought anything into Goldsboro, it was to BG. And I think that set him off too. So most of all my business has started going to Dudley. And that just fried him. And Montreal Allen used to go to school with me and my sister both. So it was one of those type of things where I guess he just found resentment, and he felt like I owed it to him that I needed to do this for him. And I don't play those type games. That's child games, And if you were such a businessman, you should be able to provide for yourself. You shouldn't depend on a little female to support your load. You should be able to do it yourself, is the way I see it.
So how long have you been incarcerated?
5.5 years now.
So Montreal should be home by now, huh?
Yeah, he's good. I'm just starting out. Yeah, I'm just getting rolling. I've already done it when I was in Raleigh. I got into the dental lab apprenticeship. I started my 3-year apprenticeship with the dental lab, making dentures and partials for all the prisons across North Carolina. And during this time, they had started a big movement. They had, Lanesboro with this big prison here, where the men were fighting and, you know, killing the guards and stuff. And so they started moving the men out and started sending them to Southern. So they started sending all the women here to the big prison. No more outside campus type college campus grounds like Raleigh was. So I ended up getting transferred here to Anson Correctional, which used to be Lanesboro. And this is an inside prison, so I'm here now, and I'm actually out of close custody. I'm in medium custody. I'm on the list to work for the box company, which is a union supply company. They supply all the food boxes that go to the prisons in North Carolina. They have 4 of them a year, which is $100 boxes that goes to all the prisons, like little $100 gift boxes. And the women make these boxes 4 times a year, so I'm on the list now to work with them. So I'm doing really good. So I'm in medium custody, and you know, this big pandemic and stuff has come around. I haven't seen my family in quite some time, but we've got tablets now. So hopefully our virtual visits are going to be pretty soon on tablets. I'll be able to see my family. I'm very blessed. My family is still there with me. I have a beautiful son. He's 16. He gets on my nerves. He's growing up fast. And my daughter, thankfully, is in Florida. And my son has moved out of Goldsboro. And my mom, like I said, has got my back. Unfortunately, I lost my father when I was in county. He had cancer. And I lost him within a month of being in county jail for this mess, and that's something that I'll never get over. But you know, losses like that make you stronger, and it makes you a better person. You know what I'm saying? So all this whole experience has brought me closer to God, and it's brought me closer to my family. So that's the one thing that I can say that it's made me stronger, and it's made me a better person. So I've learned from my mistakes, and all I can say is all this is in God's hands, you know, and He knows what happened. He knows in the wrongs. And I believe I'll be going home early. I don't think I'm going to do all my time. So I think something's going to turn around for me soon. I really do. And I just hope that what they did to me, I hope and pray that no one ever does to them what they did to me. Because it's a bad feeling, you know what I'm saying? And I wish them luck. I wish no harm on anybody, because what they did to me is very bad. It's very bad.
So, what are the dates you're supposed to be released?
Do what now?
What year are they on paper? Are they saying that you're supposed to be released?
2043. That's my minimum.
And that's how old would you be if you had to wait that long? Which we hope you don't.
62 years old.
Did you put any filing appeal, or are you trying to work the court system some type of way?
I can't put in an appeal because I took a plea. What I can do is ask for a commissary or commutation to the governor, which is a time reduction. I have to put in at least 10 years of my sentence in order to do that. So I don't want to do an MAR. Well, automatically, if they find any reason to make it worse, they can. They could actually give me a life sentence if they wanted to. So I don't want to do that, but I do want to try to ask for a time reduction. And then plus, like I said, I have a very blessed family. So I'm waiting on them. They're trying to do some things in the courts right now with an attorney. And I'm hoping that with my time, I have actually been box carded. So if God sees fit for things to happen that way, hopefully I might be able to get an attorney to take me back to court.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
get my box cart put together to where I can actually just do one whole sentence, maybe 10 to 15 years. And if that works out, that would be great.
And I hope that happens for you also. So this call is about to be over. Thank you very much for the interview and to be able to say your side of the story, which the viewers will love to hear. If you got any free time later on,
you have 30 seconds remaining.
You're very, very sweet, and I thank you very much for taking your time to hear this out for me. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Give me a call back like Thursday so we can have a recap. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Jannele. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you Thursday.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.